Hi, I'm Jochen Siegmann, the author of The Property Apprentice, How to Earn While You Learn. And today I have the pleasure of visiting one of my apprentices who joined my program, and his name is Achim. So thank you for having me, Achim.
Hi Jochen, my pleasure.
So maybe you can just briefly introduce yourself to our audience a little bit.
Okay, my name is Achim, and I'm, as Jochen said, one of his apprentices. I attended the property training course for property apprentice, and now we're talking about it today.
Okay, thank you for taking the time and inviting me to your home today. And maybe we can start a little bit first about the actual training program. You signed up a couple of weeks ago, or months ago actually. You signed up a couple of months ago for the training program and attended my training. So how did you perceive the training?
Actually, this was really good. So I was always interested in property investment, and I just had a little bit of knowledge, but I felt not certain enough or secure enough to actually go and invest. So when I learned about your program and your training, I said that's exactly what I need. So I joined the training, and I think that gave me the confidence to really actually start investing. And I think the training was really well rounded. Has a lot of knowledge bites in there, and a lot of individual items helping me to shape my strategy, because that's one of the items. For example, I learned that all the different strategies you taught us. Before I went there, I wasn't sure. I had an idea, but now I know why I have certain strategies. As you taught them to us, I'm very interested in particular two of them, and that's what I think gave me the confidence to do it.
Okay, great. And the training lasted for 2 whole days.
Yes.
Was it time well spent?
Yes, I think it was the right balance. It was short and crisp in the content from the individual modules, but on the other hand, you need 2 days to go through all of it because there's so much material. And all the different items are important because if you look into property investment from start to finish, there's so many items to be considered, and you can't do it in a 2-hour kind of session. And I think the mix between you teaching us and then our own practical discussions and trials and do some calculations, I think that's really worthwhile. That's how I think I absorb more. I think the balance is just right. 2 days is just perfect.
Okay, thank you for the feedback. And of course, I mean, the training is only the theory, and during the training, of course, I've offered the Property Apprentice program. Why did you sign up for it?
Actually, as I said, given that I had not much experience in investing myself before, and I wasn't confident enough to just do it on my own, given that you have obviously much longer experience and you already have some properties before, I felt very comfortable to become your apprentice, and basically, as per your book title, is like earn while you learn. So for me, this was actually the starting point. So I got the training, then all the strategies I liked, obviously, not all of them you offered, but all the ones I liked for me, I said, let's go and put them in practice and actually do it in a real-time situation. And I mean, most of the deals you have sourced yourself and then offered different opportunities to me. Some of them I didn't like, but the ones I liked, then we started doing something together, and I'm absolutely happy. I think they worked out nicely, and I will do it again.
Okay, thank you. And I mean, you obviously paid a little bit of small investment to join the program. Did you, and I guarantee people to make the money back within a year. How long did it take you to get your money back after the course?
I think quite literally with the first deal, and we've done 2 or 3 together, or at least you source them, let's say this way, and I would say I've earned multiples of what the course cost me. Obviously, it's a question. For example, we bought one deal which was significantly below market value. Obviously, until you sell it, you haven't really cashed it in, but the value in the property is there. So I look at the equity value in the asset is there, and that's a multiple of what the cost cost. It's at the beginning, I agree with you when you said the price. I said, that's a lot of investment, but it's an investment. It's an investment in your knowledge, and you share your knowledge. I earn the knowledge, I learn, and that's the investment. And with the first property deal already, the return comes in. So it's definitely worthwhile.
Okay, just now you mentioned, how we actually implemented the strategy, the knowledge into real action, into making money for you and me. All right, so can you share a little bit more about the process and property, the first deal that we made together?
Yeah, okay. I think as per different strategies, there's different theories about where you make the money. And just maybe reflecting first on what are my two favorite strategies. One is finding properties below market value, because that's for me is an instant increase in equity or value, which we then hold. The second thing is passive income, having rental income effectively from day one. And I think in the first deal we had a fantastic deal in Malaysia, and there was a below market value in a sense for me, although it was not a finished property, something being built when we bought it. But we got such a significant discount that this was just a fantastic deal.
How much discount did we get?
I think it's about 30%, and I think even if ever we intend to sell and we have to give another 10% to get it sold, it's still a massive cushion, which that was the first thing for me.
What was the strategy that we used in order to get these 30% discount?
In the strategy, this was a bulk purchase, so this was a big development where effectively only through a combination of a lot of investors at the same time, straight from the developer, we could actually achieve this big discount, which otherwise you wouldn't find in the market. So I think that was a good strategy, and thanks for your sourcing skills. I think you gave me the chance to participate in this.
My pleasure, man. It's a win-win situation for you, me, and all the other investors.
And that's actually one of the strategies we learn in the Property Apprentice course, where they say first sourcing the deal, then if you make all your due diligence and you feel like, yes, that's a worth deal for going for it, then we went for it, and it's well executed. I think that was, and you asked earlier what's the process. I mean, that was relatively smooth because I think you did most of the groundwork, sourcing the deal, doing initial due diligence, and then you passed on a lot of the knowledge you've already accumulated in the beginning. Then obviously me being the investor as well, so I did my own due diligence based on your legwork and did some checking and asked some friends who are familiar with the area in Malaysia, and they recommended me that this is a good deal as well. So some friends who are actually real estate agents in a different part of Malaysia. So it was quite nice, and I think net, I'm still happy about the deal today.
Okay, great. So then we established that we got 30% off the price that this property was listed in originally. And how about the rest of the payment?
Oh yeah, I think that's actually almost, I said only two, that's a third strategy. Because one of the other strategies we learned is if you have a lot of cash, obviously, you can just pay something in cash, but that's one of the strategies. If you don't have a lot of cash, it's the question how you're going to finance it. And that's another beauty in this deal, despite the below market value, so to speak, is also effectively was with little to no investment of our own cash. I mean, we paid some small transaction fees for lawyers and stuff, that's what you have to pay anyway. But we did not make any down payment ourselves because effectively all the necessary payments were fully bank financed. So if you just put it into perspective, roughly about 30% discount, 70% bank financing, so no money down on my own. That's one of the other strategies which came later in your program, I think one of the last ones, which we combined two into the same property. And I think for me that was a very, very good selling point for that particular property, because at the end of the day, there's no liquidity outflow for me.
And so just to reiterate, how much did you pay for the property?
It's zero. That's very true. It's actually, thinking about it now, it's two strategies in one. So
yes, of course we can always combine strategies, and effectively in most of the deals we source, whether it's for capital depreciation or passive income, we should always make money when we buy, not when we sell on the day. So the BMV is always an element which should be there, but thank you for touching upon that as well.
And then notwithstanding, I mean, now looking into that property on a long-term view, this will generate a very good positive passive income at some point in the future. I mean, there's still a little bit to be determined how much it is, but even on a conservative approach, the yield return looks really, really good. So I'm sure this will also be, apart from the other two strategies just explained, will also be one of the portfolios where I said this will definitely have a nice passive income, because that's my main focus strategy.
Right. Then you mentioned we've done another deal together, and since you are after passive income, that is one of the other strategies that is important for you and so many other investors, because it generates a monthly cash flow for you. Can you maybe describe what was the second deal that we did together?
Actually, right, as you said, because then after the first one, I said, now I want something focusing only on passive income. So again, through your wealth of resources, I think you had a constant supply of various deals. So we both have a favor for the country Thailand. So we said, let's have a look where is a good place within the country Thailand to invest. Obviously, we looked into places like very popular Bangkok, Phuket, Pattaya area. And we obviously did our own due diligence. Bangkok very expensive, Phuket very difficult market to rent out. So again, if the focus is passive income, both of those kind of got a bit of a knockout. But then when we looked into Pattaya, we all of a sudden realized there was quite a number of deals there with a very high, around give or take 10% yield, really good, and some of them already actually rented out by the time you purchase it, so it looked really good. So we looked into that, and after a couple of options we saw, the one we effectively bought, I think in my view, a very important factor for any property investment, apart from pure numbers and yield return, is also location. And that is in a central Pattaya location, really in walking distance from the main shopping areas, good hotels around there, walking distance to the beach, like really, really good in central Pattaya. And also in the back of Pattaya, there's a lot of companies with international kind of manufacturing factories, so there's a lot of foreigners there as well who could be very potential good tenants for our property. And when we bought it, it was already tenanted. So the minute the transaction was complete, we had cash flow from day one. I think that was one of the nicest things. I remember when all the legal and everything was settled, all the documents completed, literally 2 weeks later the first rent was in. And we shared, and it was the first cash flow hitting my account. That brings a big smile on your face. So strategy completed, you know.
How much time did you have to spend for all of this?
That's another thing. I think as part of the strategy, again, main strategy focus here was passive income, but this is one different to the other where we co-invest. So we share this property, so we own it 50-50, we invested 50-50. So, but my beauty was because you sources, you did all the legwork, so I just put the money down and that's it. And literally I just waited until you got all the legal docs done, and at the end of it, now we own a nice property together and we share the cash flow coming in 50-50, and it was very little. And I think now I have even less activity once a month. I just check my account whether the rental come in or not. If it comes in, tick the box. So it's literally a minute or two per month where I just have to check whether it pays. And the return is almost 10% already. We potentially have some upside
before you put that money to finance your half of this property. Where was it before?
I had it in a bank account here locally.
Paying how much interest?
It was probably about 0.6% if I'm lucky.
And now you're getting how much?
If I made a stretch, I maybe could have gotten 1%, but now I'm making almost 10. Well, let's say 9.5, maybe 10. So I think for no effort, and on top of it, again, now we're coming back to the earlier strategy, even this property as a icing off the cake was also a very nice deal below market, because it was.
Can you remember the numbers?
I think it was about 25%, because it was an urgent sell. The previous owner had to sell it, and we were lucky to got to know about it before others, and we literally bought it on the spot. So even if we didn't have the strategy to buy below market for that one, but there was a floor in. So I think looking at that now, a good almost 10% return plus at least 25% or so of potential value equity.
Did you have the confidence that I make the right decision? Because you obviously did you have any concerns at all?
No, I think obviously the good thing is because we spoke during the process when we were scouting for the right property, and once we decided Thailand is a good market, we did our diligence, whether foreigners can own, what are the restrictions. There's foreigners quota in Thailand, you know, this is a condo unit, so foreigners can own, so we made sure we had all this title structure right, the legal documents right. So we've done our homework before, so before we even thought about investing, we knew it's possible, and we have proper ownership now, it's clean, and you can sell it as well. And I think these are important factors. Again, there's so many, as I said, the training course goes over 2 days. Strategy is just one element, but the small bits and pieces how to execute a transaction and knowing about the legal framework is one of the other important factors. And I think, again, looking back today, I would do it again. The same strategy, the same kind of location. And I think we compared 2 locations, and we decided for this one because it's a better deal.
Yeah, in fact, I mean, this was a brilliant deal. Before we got into that deal, did we evaluate other properties?
I think we did, as I said earlier, when we first other locations, we looked at it and we knocked them out because we felt it's difficult to rent out, so there's a high risk of not getting the rent.
I mean, before the one in Pattaya, we also looked at the one in Phuket.
Yes, correct.
And did you in fact give me the approval to go ahead?
Yes.
Should I want to? Did we go ahead?
We didn't, because the due diligence came out not to our liking. I think that's, as you said, do I have confidence for you being able to make the right decision together? Yes, because just to reiterate, we looked into Phuket, we had a budget for ourselves, we parked some money aside, we said, okay, this is roughly what we want to invest. We looked into a few properties, they all looked good on the first phase, some of them below market, so there were some good features in there, but the knockout for that particular area we felt is a very challenging market for long-term rental income, because you may get short-term rental, but a higher risk of having it empty for too long, and that was not part of our strategy. Different if you want to buy a holiday house for your own, you have the cash, absolutely fine. But for us, the main focus was passive income from day one. So we knocked this out. And the same in Pattaya. 2 other properties we almost bought had the same thing, but from a valuation perspective, they were much more expensive, higher asking price on a per square meter. And the rental yield was slightly less as well. So net, this is a better deal.
And could you have found this on your own?
No. First of all, I didn't have the same resources you had. I wouldn't have had the time myself. But that's one of the, I think, another very important factor why the apprenticeship makes sense. Obviously, for you is your primary objective and your full-time dedicated time to focus on that. While I have a day job. So for me, it's more a secondary. I wouldn't call it a hobby, but it's my spare time.
Hard-earned money.
Exactly.
It's at risk here. So.
Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't be able to focus. I mean, you went doing due diligence on the ground, which is very important for property investment, which I couldn't have done at the same time. So I would have missed this opportunity, because if I wouldn't be there, a day later I was gone. Right?
So talking about risk, you're a professional risk manager, right?
Yes, true. I'm in risk management, and that's my daily routine. So, and you have within the apprentice course a couple of modules.
I'm teaching the module there, but from your perspective, I mean, what kind of risks did you see, or how did you manage that?
I think I've already mentioned a few risks. One is rentability, whether security in terms of can you hold the land title, can you own the property, is it easy to buy, is it easy to sell, can you trust the legal system? I can talk for an hour about potential risk being my job, what I see, but I think the key properties risks are, first of all, depending on your strategy, that drives which risks are there, and then for yourself you have to evaluate how much risk are you willing to take. And as I said, go back to the strategy, passive income, the main risk is the rent is not coming in, either the tenant doesn't pay or it's empty. And I think we evaluated, coming back to why we knocked out and didn't do some of the earlier properties, because we felt the risk is too high. And that's where my risk manager, I mean, even if you wouldn't have said it yourself, when I looked into some of the deals we then agreed not to do, I looked at it and said, oh, the risk is too high. The risk return is not right. While here, we have a sitting tenant right in day one, and he's been there kind of 2 years or so before we bought it. So he had a good track record of paying rent. Again, part of the due diligence. We look into how financially viable is your tenant as well. If he would have had already some problems from the previous owner, maybe it's a different proposition. We maybe would have kicked him out and rented it out separately. But here is a happy tenant, long-term in the property already. If you look at the place, he's really at home there, so he doesn't have an intention to run away. So it's quite good.
Okay, good. And I mean, besides the actual deals which you shared, thank you very much for sharing those. That's great. Did you learn more from doing things together,
yes,
or that we did beyond the training program?
Yeah, I think what I would look at it now, that obviously the training is past in a few weeks or months already. I think the training is a lot of knowledge condensed in 2 days. Mm-hmm. So obviously for me it took some time to absorb and digest. And then I realized all the ones I was keen on applying in practice, we've now been doing with the 2 or 3 deals we've been doing together. And I could I could first of all verify that whatever you're teaching makes sense. It's a reality. It's not some theoretical kind of from a book and then it doesn't really apply, because all the tips and tricks you give, they are learned from your own experience as well, and your mentors and all that, and they work. We went through some of those difficulties during the deals. Sometimes you get delayed by getting legal docs in place or banks or whatever. So all these features helped me preparing better for the next one.
Okay.
So every single deal, you learn something, and hopefully you apply it in the next one to make it better.
Oh yeah, that's very important to apply, right? If we don't take action and just think about it, nothing's gonna happen. But you took action and sign up, and you obviously, as I can also see from your facial expression, are very happy.
You know, what I'm thinking about now is, why didn't I start 10 years earlier, right?
Yes.
I mean, obviously different times of your life, different strategies apply to your level of income and your riskiness, your strategies. But
So for future participants of my training program who are considering signing up, what's your advice?
do it. Sign up, attend, but only if you take action. If you just want to learn about property investment, but you have no interest in actually doing it, then it's a waste of time. But if your intention is to actually do investments in property, whatever of these many strategies out there is your favorite one, you definitely can do it. And Jochen is able to teach you the tools, and if you become an apprentice, he will even give you some more guidance, mentoring, and hands-on coaching, which again, I think I've learned most after the course. The course was a theoretical basis, the groundwork, the tools, and the actual doing is where you learn the most, because then we discuss, we debate, as you said earlier, risk management. Many of our discussions, either by email or personally, is like, why do you think this is risky, or is it better this one or that one? We always put it in perspective and compare. And that's what risk management is about. It's not taking risk, you can't make money. But taking risk, you can evaluate and you can manage. That's how you can make money.
Great. So now to maybe close off and just summarize, for you, what was the 2 or 3 key advantages of the Property Apprentice program that you have been going through in the last couple of months?
I think the number one is having somebody as a bouncing partner with more experience and guidance to say, maybe if I would be less experienced and wanted to do a certain property first, which weren't a good deal, you could have said, you know what, I've seen better ones given the broad experience you have, and would maybe help me avoiding mistakes in partnering with somebody experienced. That's one. And as the name apprenticeship suggests, is you're learning by doing, right? So you start at whatever level you are, and everything you do, you grow and mature and you learn more until you become a master yourself. Mm-hmm. It's like in any other custom or sports, is practice helps you master it. Mm-hmm. And the last thing is, I'm quite happy that all the strategies we have identified, say let's go for this, this and that, they all worked out. So it's for me, it's a proven concept. When you just read a book or you see a video on the internet or something, it's already theory. You're not sure does it work or not. And here, I remember you gave us in the course the guarantee. You say whatever you pay for the course, minimum that or more, you're going to guarantee us to earn back within the first year. And I think, as I said at the beginning, I probably earned it in the first deal. Maybe we were really lucky, or because of my strategy. If somebody has a different strategy, maybe it needs a bit longer, maybe it takes a year, or it needs 2 or 3 deals. But given that you can return in the range of 10%, easily achievable. As long, you mentioned it earlier, one of your favorite things, take action.
Yes.
If you don't take action, if you don't invest, obviously there's nothing to be earned. Then that's it. I'm really happy. I can recommend this training course, and obviously also the apprenticeship to anyone who wants to seriously go into property investment and learn from somebody with more experience. And then, at some point, then you can take it on your own.
Okay, thank you very much for your feedback and your time. Do you have your permission to share this publicly?
Yes, please.
All right, thank you very much, Achim. Thank you.
Pleasure.